What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I figured I had to make this video. I just want to do a poll, get your opinions. Um, Recently, Danny Garcia, he released a tweet, and he basically said Danny Garcia ducks nobody, everybody, all the names that have been mentioned that are worthy. He said he stepped to the table and he's willing to fight these guys. And for some reason, in forums and comments and just overall in the boxing community, I feel like Danny Garcia is getting little to no respect. So my question to you guys is why? Um, if you really look at Danny Garcia and break it down, I feel by far he's not the most technical fighter. There's people that have way more finesse. However, he's still young, he's still learning on the job, and he still finds a way to win, and he's undefeated. And I feel at the young age of 25, he's either 25 or 26. I mean, the cat's young, so he has some solid names on his resume. If you really go through his resume, look at the names. I mean, to be 25, there's people who have, like, even Canelo. Like, Canelo has over 40 fights, and a lot of those people weren't at the time feared people or doing good in the division. Canelo is just now starting to get more of the lucrative names, like resume builder names. Um, so I really don't understand it with Danny Garcia. I don't see why so many people hate him. I think some of you guys maybe should watch soap operas instead of boxing because I feel you tend to take fighters' personal life or like Danny Garcia's dad's antics or whatever. I really could give a shit about any of that. I care mostly about, obviously, reporting about boxing. I will mention it. And you will see videos about things that aren't necessarily in the boxing ring. But personally, I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's entertaining. But I don't really care. So anything Angel Garcia says, if it's funny, it's funny. If not, it's not. It doesn't influence my decision on his son's skill, I guess is the best way to put it. Um, I think Danny Garcia, like I said, he finds a way to win and he's undefeated. If they make the fight with Lucas Matisse, do I think it's a 50-50 fight? Definitely. Do I think both fighters stand a chance to win? Definitely. I think it'll be a great test for both fighters. They both have power. Danny Garcia might be the better boxer. Lucas Matisse is very patient. He goes to the body and he has dynamite in his hands. So it'll be a real good test. Arguably, Lucas Matisse is a fighter that should be undefeated right now, depending on how you scored his losses to Devin Alexander and Zab Judah. Danny Garcia is undefeated. So, I mean, like I said, this is one hell of a matchup, and I really like it. But I just see no respect given for Danny Garcia. They're saying he's scared of Matisse, he's scared of Kareem Mayfield, he's scared of X, Y, and Z. And I just don't understand it. So again, my question to you guys is why do you guys dislike Danny Garcia? Again, being 25, he has some solid names on his resume, and I think what fighters, or excuse me, what fans do sometimes is sometimes you look at a fighter's entirety, and as the sport goes on, and certain fighters don't necessarily pan out or make it their prospects, and they never really cross over to the elite level. But you have to consider at the time in which some of these fights are taking place, these fighters are the fighters to watch. Now, what happens after the fact is up to that fighter and destiny and whatever happens with their career. But people are quick to see the whole picture, and then it's easy for you to call a fighter a bum because you can see the fighter over the span of years. But at the same time, what was that fighter and where was that fighter at the time in which they fought? Like people like Adrian Broner, they say, oh, he only fights bums, he hasn't fought nobody. But if you do the math, and he has a win over Jason Litzau, which some of you guys don't know about because Jason Litzau never really rose to his full potential. But at the time, if you even watch that fight, I believe it is, the announcers were praising Jason Litzau and saying He's the one to watch for, and he was ranked pretty high. He might have been like in the top three, like seeds or whatever you want to call it in boxing in that division. So at the time Adrian Broner fought him, he was one to watch for, someone to check for. Again, if a person fights someone and then after they do become bums or they start losing to lesser opponents or everybody or whatever, that's what it is. But you again have to look at when they fought. Danny Garcia, when he fought Nate Campbell was still somebody who had been in there with Timothy Bradley. He had good experience, I guess you could say, and he had a lot more promise. Now, if you look at him, he looks horrible. I've seen him in recent fights. He looks terrible. But at the time Danny Garcia fought him, he wasn't completely washed. Again, he had some good experience in there. People like Kendall Holt. Kendall Holt, I mean, is a guy known for punching power. Now, fast forward to the future, Kendall Holt got dismantled against Lamont Peterson, and he hasn't looked all too great. But again, Danny Garcia has a win over him, and I'm not going to say it's a prime. Some people get too far off into this was a fighter's prime, and this was. I'm not going to say Danny Garcia fought Kendall Holt in his prime, but he's still a devastating puncher, somebody who is a good name to add to your resume at the time in which they fought. Um, Kendall Holt had also been in there with Timothy Bradley. I mean, this is whether you win or lose, fighting guys like Timothy Bradley is valuable experience. Knowing how to, like, learning from fights like that, I think gives you valuable experience. So that's just my opinion. Like I said, I think Danny Garcia, his resume is not as bad as some people make it out to be. Zab Judah, he fought Zab Judah after Zab Judah showed like he was coming back. In interviews, he was saying he's sober, he's taking training seriously, and he was off a credible win against Vernon Paris, who was undefeated. So a fighter like Zab is a very talented individual, and if he's focused and he's sharp, and it looks like he did come to fight, um, even when he was hurt, he composed himself very well. You got to give someone like Danny Garcia, in my opinion, you got to give him credit for those types of wins because he's fighting a really focused Zab, and we know how talented Zab is when he applies himself, when he stays composed, when he's not frustrated, etc. The fight with Amir Khan. Amir Khan was just off a loss, but it was a controversial loss, a split decision loss in Lamont Peterson's hometown, and the referee took 2 points away from Amir Khan, and a lot of people thought that was a hometown decision. So again, it was a loss for Amir Khan, but it wasn't a bad loss. A bad loss was for Khan would be the Bradis Prescott or Danny Garcia loss. But prior to that, the Lamont Peterson was a very competitive fight. Some people thought Amir Khan should have won that fight. It was a split decision win. So just further let you know that was close. Before that, Amir Khan, I believe, fought Zab Judah and KO'd him with a body shot. And a lot of people gave Zab the chance to beat Amir Khan. So if you look at where these fighters are at the time in which they're fighting, they weren't bad competition. Look at Danny Garcia fought Eric Morales the first time. When he fought him the first time, Eric Morales was the titleist. He was the belt holder. Eric Morales had just defeated Pablo Cesar Cano. Before that, he fought Marcos Rene Maidana. And Maidana won that fight. However, Eric Morales gave him a good competitive fight where a lot of people thought Morales at that point had no chance with Maidana because Maidana was a feared puncher. Again, you got to look at fighters at the time in which they fight. Recently in a video, I seen a reporter, he was trying to compare Canelo's victory over Carlos Baldemir versus Floyd, and there's no comparison because Floyd fought him at a time where he was the title holder, where he was the bigger man, where he was fresher, where he was younger. He had just defeated Arturo Gatti and Zab Judah. So to me, at the time in which Floyd fought him, would be a better version of Carlos Baldemir than when Canelo fought him. Because when Canelo fought him, he was 40 years old and he was pretty inactive, one fight a year. and he lost. He had fought 2 times in 2 years, and I think he lost one of those fights to a nobody. So you got to put things in perspective. That's the whole point. That's what I'm trying to say. And again, my question to you guys is, why do you hate Danny Garcia so much? Um, I'm a fan of Danny Garcia. I'm a fan of Lucas Matisse. I'm a fan of boxing. Like I said, Danny Garcia doesn't have the most technical style, but again, he finds a way to win. As far as whatever his dad does, I don't think that's a reason to attempt to discredit somebody and their accomplishments. Let me know what you guys think on this topic. It's really all I got to say. So, as always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.